What if everything you believed about a seemingly perfect family was a lie? What if behind the bright smiles and perfectly curated videos lay a chilling nightmare of control, abuse, and unimaginable pain? Ruby Franke, the popular family vlogger whose wholesome content captivated millions, seemed to have it all. A beautiful home, well-mannered children, and an enviable life. But when the truth finally emerged, it sent shockwaves across the internet. Hidden behind the camera's lens was a dark world where discipline crossed into abuse, where help was silenced, and where the desperate cries of children went unheard. How could a mother who preached family values end up facing charges of child abuse? And how did her closest confidant, Jodi Hildebrandt, play a role in turning a family home into a house of horrors? Prepare yourself for a story filled with shocking twists, unsettling revelations, and a truth that will make you question how well you really know the faces behind the screens. Welcome to True Crime Acts, where we look into the hidden truths behind some of the most chilling real-life events. Our mission is to uncover the stories that shock, educate, and spark change, reminding us that behind every headline is a victim, a family, and a ripple effect felt by an entire community. If you find this journey as important as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to ensure you never miss another gripping exploration into the depths of human behavior. To the outside world, the Franke family was nothing short of perfect. Their YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, portrayed a household brimming with joy, love, and traditional values. Ruby Franke, the matriarch of this seemingly wholesome family, opened up their lives to millions of viewers, showcasing everything from morning routines to heartfelt family discussions. Fans were drawn to their authenticity, or at least the version of authenticity that Ruby presented. However, beneath the polished exterior, darkness festered. The smiles in their vlogs often seemed forced, and subtle cues of discomfort started to catch the eyes of more observant viewers. The children's rare but concerning comments about punishments or being left out of family activities were brushed off by loyal followers as strict but loving parenting. But those glimpses into the family's real dynamics hinted at something far more troubling. As the channel's popularity soared, so did Ruby's influence. She began collaborating with Jodi Hildebrandt, a self-proclaimed family therapist with controversial views on obedience and repentance. Their joint project, Connections, was marketed as a self-help program, but gradually revealed itself to be a platform promoting extreme and damaging disciplinary methods. What was initially seen as strict guidance soon crossed into psychological and physical abuse, all under the guise of love and spiritual healing. But how could so many people, including millions of viewers and close friends, fail to see the truth lurking behind the camera lens? And at what point does disciplined parenting become something far more sinister? Jodi Hildebrandt was not just Ruby's business partner. She was a mentor who held an unsettling sway over Ruby's beliefs and actions. With her clinical background, Jodi crafted a persona of authority and wisdom. Her teachings in the Connections program often revolved around the idea that children needed to experience discomfort to build character. She preached that obedience was the ultimate form of love, a notion that Ruby absorbed wholeheartedly. Ruby began to implement Jodi's teachings with an intensity that alarmed those closest to her. Friends who had known Ruby for years saw her transform from a nurturing mother to a rigid enforcer of Jodi's doctrines. Jodi's influence extended beyond parenting advice. She began to dictate how Ruby should treat her children on a day-to-day basis. Under the guise of therapy and support, Jodi instilled a philosophy that blurred the line between discipline and abuse. The bond between the two women became a feedback loop of control. Ruby sought validation from Jodi, and Jodi reinforced Ruby's harshest instincts. Together, they created a dangerous dynamic where Ruby's children became the subjects of increasingly severe punishments. Isolation, food deprivation, and physical restraints were justified as necessary steps for spiritual cleansing. Ruby, who believed she was saving her children's souls, could not see the harm she was causing. Could a trusted therapist really manipulate a mother into such a dangerous mindset? Or was this darkness always a part of Ruby, waiting for someone to bring it to the surface? As the 8 Passengers channel continued to gain popularity, more and more viewers began to pick up on subtle red flags. Ruby's disciplinary methods were not just strict, they bordered on cruel. In one now infamous video, Ruby mentioned that her young son had to sleep on a beanbag for months as punishment. Another clip showed her daughter, visibly distressed, being denied food as a lesson in gratitude. These moments, captured on camera, began to spark conversations online. While many fans rushed to defend Ruby, praising her for her old-school parenting methods, a growing number of voices raised concerns. People wondered why the children often looked away when speaking, why they hesitated before answering questions, and why their stories sometimes hinted at darker realities. Some viewers even reached out to Child Protective Services, but the polished image Ruby maintained helped her dismiss these accusations as misunderstandings. Despite the mounting questions, the family continued to post, and Ruby continued to defend her choices. The comment section became a battleground between supporters and critics, with Ruby herself sometimes responding to defend her actions. She painted a picture of a world where children needed to be toughened up, where discipline was love, and where obedience was the highest virtue. Her explanations, however, only deepened the unease of those who saw past the rehearsed smiles and well-edited videos. Were these concerned viewers onto something from the very beginning? And could they have done more to bring the truth to light before it was too late? The truth about the Franke household finally came to light in the most chilling way. Ruby's 12-year-old son managed to escape from the home of Jodi Hildebrandt, where he had been staying. Emaciated, bruised, and desperate, he ran to a neighbor's house and begged for help. His small frame bore the marks of restraints, and his words painted a harrowing picture of his life under Ruby and Jodi's care. When authorities arrived, they discovered another child in similar condition. Both were immediately hospitalized, their injuries revealing prolonged abuse and neglect. The story that unfolded was one of terror and control. The children had been subjected to severe punishments, denied basic necessities, and isolated from the world. Their pleas for help had gone unheard for too long. Ruby and Jodi were arrested, their carefully constructed image of motherhood and mentorship shattered. As investigators delved deeper, they uncovered evidence of manipulation, brainwashing, and a twisted belief system that justified the suffering inflicted on the children. Ruby's journals, discovered during a search of her home, were filled with chilling entries. She wrote about purifying her children, convinced that their suffering would save them from evil influences. How could a mother who once seemed to love her children descend into such darkness? And was Jodi Hildebrandt the architect of this nightmare, or merely a facilitator of Ruby's own demons? When the story broke, it felt like a betrayal to many who had followed the Franke family for years. Neighbors, who had only seen the family from a distance, were horrified to learn what had been happening behind closed doors. The very community that had admired Ruby's seemingly wholesome content was now grappling with the reality that they had been witnesses to a facade. Supporters turned critics, online communities dissected every video, and former fans expressed guilt for not recognizing the signs earlier. Parents who had attended Ruby's parenting workshops felt a chilling sense of betrayal. Many wondered how they could have been so wrong about a woman they had trusted to guide them in raising their own children. As the legal process began, the Franke children were placed in protective care. The community rallied around them, offering support and donations to help them recover. Meanwhile, the story continued to unfold in the courtroom, where testimonies and evidence painted a detailed and disturbing picture of the abuse they endured. How could a community heal from such a profound deception, and would the children ever truly recover from the horrors they had lived through? As the trial unfolded, the world learned the full extent of the horrors that Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt had inflicted upon the children. Witnesses took the stand, including medical professionals, who described the children's physical state when they were rescued. The details were harrowing: malnourishment, bruising, signs of prolonged restraint, and the psychological scars of isolation and abuse. The prosecution laid out a timeline of abuse, supported by disturbing journal entries from Ruby and text messages exchanged between her and Jodi. One particular entry sent shivers through the courtroom. "Pain purges the soul. They will thank me in heaven." Jodi's text to Ruby encouraged harsher punishments, advising that suffering brings salvation. Testimony from the older children painted a tragic picture of life under their mother's roof. They described how everyday missteps, like forgetting chores or speaking out of turn, could lead to punishments that would last for days. They recounted being denied food, water, and even basic hygiene. The youngest children, still too traumatized to speak in full sentences, clung to social workers and shied away from the sight of their mother. As the defense attempted to paint Ruby as a misguided but well-meaning mother, the sheer weight of evidence against her made this narrative difficult to maintain. The more the courtroom learned, the clearer it became that this was not just a case of extreme discipline. It was a reign of terror that had left deep, lasting wounds on vulnerable children. Could justice truly bring healing for children who had endured such trauma? And what kind of future could they hope for with their family now broken beyond repair? As more information surfaced, the spotlight turned to Jodi Hildebrandt's role in the abuse. The defense argued that Jodi had manipulated Ruby, feeding into her fears and insecurities as a mother. Jodi had positioned herself as a savior, convincing Ruby that extreme measures were necessary to righteous children. Her teachings, initially framed as therapeutic advice, were revealed to be a twisted ideology promoting control and punishment. Experts in cult behavior testified, comparing Jodi's influence to that of a cult leader. She isolated Ruby from outside influences, dismissing concerns from friends and family as threats to the purity of Ruby's household. The parallels to brainwashing were clear. Ruby's transformation from a nurturing mother to a feared disciplinarian had occurred under Jodi's direction. But not everyone accepted this narrative. The prosecution argued that Ruby was not merely a pawn, but an active participant. They presented videos where Ruby proudly explained her disciplinary methods, recounting how her son had slept on a beanbag for months, or how she had denied her children food as a lesson in gratitude. These moments showed a woman who believed wholeheartedly in her actions, a mother who had gone far beyond guidance and into cruelty. Was Ruby a victim of Jodi's manipulation, or had Jodi merely amplified the darkness that already existed within her? After weeks of emotional testimony, harrowing evidence, and hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were found guilty of child abuse, endangerment, and assault. The judge delivered a powerful statement, emphasizing that their actions had not only harmed their victims physically, but had also shattered their sense of safety and trust in the world. Ruby was sentenced to 25 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for the first 15 years. Jodi received a similar sentence, acknowledging her role as a manipulative force who had used her therapeutic credentials to justify abuse. As the sentences were read, there was no sign of remorse from either woman. Their expressions remained blank, as though they still believed their actions were justified. For the Franke children, the verdict marked the beginning of a new chapter. They were placed in the custody of relatives who had long been advocating for their safety. Therapy and support systems were put in place, and a trust fund, created from donations by concerned supporters, aimed to provide for their future needs. Could these children ever truly heal from the trauma inflicted by those who should have protected them? And would the shadow of their past ever fully recede? In the wake of the trial, the community rallied around the Franke children. Local organizations set up support groups, not just for the children, but also for friends and classmates who had been affected by the unfolding scandal. Schools incorporated programs on recognizing signs of abuse, and mental health professionals offered free counseling sessions to those impacted. YouTube and social media platforms that once celebrated the 8 Passengers channel also faced scrutiny. Many questioned how platforms that pride themselves on community guidelines and safety measures allowed a channel promoting harmful ideologies to thrive for so long. In response, new policies were introduced to monitor family channels more closely, ensuring that content featuring children met stringent ethical standards. The story of Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of how easily manipulation and abuse can hide behind a well-crafted facade. Advocacy groups used the story to push for stronger child protection laws, particularly regarding online content and the rights of children featured in vlogs and social media. Would this tragedy lead to real change? Or would the lessons learned fade over time, leaving room for another story just like this to emerge? For the Franke children, the road to recovery will be long. Each step forward is a testament to their resilience and the strength of those now guiding them toward a healthier future. Therapists working with the family focus on rebuilding trust, helping the children understand that love does not equate to pain, and teaching them to recognize safe and healthy relationships. The broader community also continues to heal. Conversations about recognizing abuse and understanding the difference between discipline and danger have become more common. Parents who once looked to Ruby Franke for guidance now seek out reputable, licensed professionals for advice on parenting and family dynamics. As the world moves on, the story of the Franke family serves as a powerful reminder that not everything is as it seems. It challenges viewers to question what they see online, to dig deeper, and to never shy away from speaking up when something feels wrong. The children's journey from darkness to light inspires others to advocate for those who cannot yet find their voice. Could these brave children who survived a nightmare grow up to be advocates themselves, ensuring that no other child endures what they did? As the story of Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt draws to a close, the haunting echoes of their actions linger, a stark reminder that danger often wears a familiar face. This tragic tale is more than a headline. It is a powerful call to action, urging each of us to sharpen our awareness, to listen more closely, and to never shy away from confronting uncomfortable truths. The Franke children's story is a testament to resilience, but it also shines a glaring light on the cracks in our systems meant to protect the most vulnerable among us. It challenges us to ask difficult questions. How did these red flags go unnoticed for so long? Why did it take a child's desperate escape to bring their suffering to light? And most importantly, how can we, as a community, prevent this from happening again? If this story moved you, if it stirred a sense of justice or ignited a desire to help, don't let it end here. Join our community at True Crime Acts by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. By staying engaged, you'll be among the first to uncover new stories, learn valuable insights, and participate in meaningful conversations that could save lives. Will you be the voice that brings light to the shadows, the hand that reaches out when others look away, or the advocate who ensures that no child, no person, ever feels alone in their darkest hour? The choice is yours, and together, we can make a difference.